are the advocate for our friend Bam, as you should be. It is a half hour to go here on a Thursday, which means one thing. And it is where we go to the West Coast to get the Pacific perspective. Say that 10 times fast. And we bring in this gentleman, who I think is probably on his second cup of coffee. It is Niko, it is Nick, and it is John for Thursday Thoughts. How many cups of coffee are you on right now, Niko?
Second one, and it's completely gone. So no cup in hand, but feeling real good, real energetic. Walked my dog early just for you, John, making sure that I was here semi on time and ready to talk Open Cup, MLS, whatever you want, man.
All right, so we'll start with Open Cup, we'll start with Open Cup. Last night was, we've been joking about it for most of the show this morning. There is a writer's strike down in Los Angeles, and it's like you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the script here? These shows still have to be produced. What's the script? And we've been joking about it. But Nick has made the point this morning is that you have to defend for 90 minutes and then some against Inter Messi CF, and we saw it again last night.
Absolutely, man. What have I said about fried chicken that I haven't said about Inter Miami? It's all the same. I know I shouldn't have it. I know I shouldn't like it. It ain't good for my health, but man, I love it. And I just got to have another piece every single time. And that's what I see from Inter Miami, man. I know that I have my doubts. I know that there's all kinds of stuff that I said previously about Sergio and everybody else coming that was not named Lionel Messi. But it's been a group effort, man, and it's been fantastic. And yesterday, once again, just like they did against Dallas, just like they somewhat did against Nashville, they were forced into a really tough game. In this one, once again, like they did in Dallas, they had to come back from a deficit. And they just seem to believe they're in every single game. And for Inter Miami, as long as the best in the planet is in their team, set pieces will forever be their lifeline. And that's undeniable. And if you give Lionel Messi a set piece, he going to hurt you. He might not be in the first one, might not be in the second one, but he going to hurt you. So whether it's a corner kick, whether it's a free kick, whatever, and that's what happened in this one. Cincinnati lay off the gas. They thought they had it. It was 2-0, and I get it. I understand that maybe you're thinking about MLS, but that's Lionel Messi in that field. You know what they've done all Leagues Cup. You can just take off your DPs. You can lay off the gas and then try to figure out what to do when in the 90-plus minute, Leo Messi, in all his geniusness, finds Campana with a beautiful ball inside the box, and Campana puts it away, and now you're scratching your head, figuring out what you're going to do with what you have on the field. But again, I think there's an unfair narrative, and I am all about fairness, regardless of what it is. I have my own thoughts and whatever, and I know what to say I was wrong. People are saying that this is just Messi. It's not, man. This was Kremasky having a fantastic game. Calendar has been unbelievable. Yes, 3 goals. He gave up good goals. Nothing he could do. But he still came up in big moments, was great in PKs. Kremasky's been great. Taylor's been great. The defense been okay. They've held up. They've really adapted to what Sergio, Alba, and Messi want to do with the ball. Tata, of course, we can't let Tata off the hook on that philosophy that he has. But it's just been fun to watch, man. So they push it into overtime, then into PKs, and it's history. They're in another final.
Nick, go for it. There we go. Nick,
there we go. Yeah, well, I've been muted. I wasn't aware that I've been muted.
Mute, unmute, hit the button. Go for it.
Okay, Niko, my belief in how to defend Inter Miami is that you really, at the half line, you use where you set up your block. Because I don't think they have anyone who's going to burn you in a foot race. Joseph Martinez, even though he's back healthy mentally and physically, I don't think that he's smoking most defenders in a foot race these days. I just don't think you can defend anywhere near the 18 because if as you said, when the free kicks happen, eventually he's going to hurt you, right? I mean, but at the same time, I look at 3 draws against teams that are not stellar teams, like where they have like superstars front to back. You know, when you have Dallas, who said, okay, we're going to turn this thing into a boat race, made it really competitive, couldn't finish it out at the end, goes to penalties. Same thing with Cincinnati. You know, it was Nashville played differently, but pressed early, defended, took it to penalties. In regular season play, those are draws, which is not what Miami needs. What do you think the chances are for Miami to make the playoffs this year, crawling all the way from the cellar?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man, because I've been not betting against Messi, but I've been thinking there's no way they're going to win this game. There's no way they're going to beat Philly. I don't know. Nashville might have their number. Oh, you know what? Cincinnati Open Cup, they ain't going to do it. Been wrong all 3 times. So, man, it seems like he's almost mathematically not there for them. And the only reason why I once again doubt him, and I'm going to kick myself in the behind for this one, but I don't believe it's physically possible for this same group of players that have been getting all of these wins and being as successful as they have to continue to get those miles. Talking about Messi, talking about Sergio, talking about Alba. I know they're getting some really good players back. Gregory should be 100% back. Mota was already back. Obviously, they have 3 stellar South American prospects that can undeniably help out this team. But I'm going to say that they're going to fall just short of the playoffs because I'm guessing Messi's going to need to rest sometime. Those wheels of the bus are going to fall off if they don't. So maybe I'm wrong saying this against the Marchand, the Phenom, the walking god of soccer at the moment in MLS. But I just don't see it. I really don't know how these players are going to continue to give this much. They already look tired after 70 minutes yesterday. They look beat, including Messi. But ain't nobody getting Messi off that field with a deficit. I mean, he gonna be in there, right? He gonna turn that hat and pull a rabbit, and so he did. So I believe that it's just gonna be too much. They focused on 2 big tournaments, 2 global aspects. One was internationally. One is the oldest tournament, the one that not just important because of the history, but one where all you have to do was win 2 games, right? So if all I have to do is win 2 games, I'm going to put all my chips in that basket, right? So I think they did that. But now with MLS, it's already far away. We've already done our job. Everybody's talking Messi. Let's just reel it in a little bit. Let's just make sure that we don't overdo it and kill the goose or the golden eggs.
And at the same time, I mean, I think the first evidence of that'll be this weekend against Red Bulls. And we talked about schedule compression. We've gone over the schedule here in the show. And with every single match that has happened, we've adjusted it and sat there and said, okay, this, and this. You figure they're going to go full bore lineup here, which means they're going to have to adjust here. And I think that the lineup this weekend against Red Bulls at RBA in beautiful Harrison, New Jersey, on the banks of the river, might be the first chance where you see a lot of names maybe go 45, maybe come in and give you 30 on the back end, but you're going to see a lot of the young guys like Kremoski and Allen and all of those folks. They would be the ones that are going to be getting the big minutes in this one. And there might be some folks in Harrison, New Jersey, who got tickets that might be disappointed. I know they're going to go anticipating something, and you'll see Messi doing toe touchies and drills and rondos and things. You may not get the full complement of Messi and friends this weekend.
Yeah, 100% believe that. I think that there is no chance in the planet that they're not going to rotate this squad. And there is plenty of talent, and, Gomez, Aviles, and Facundo Farias are going to be in there. So, yes, you have pick your poison at the end of the day. You're going to get some guys in and out of the lineup. I could definitely see Allen being in there. So, for sure, there is no doubt in my mind that you are not going to see a full starting 11, not what you've been seeing in Open Cup against the New York Red Bulls.
Nick, go for it. What else is on your mind?
I think it's going to resemble something more like, when Arsenal or Chelsea come over here for one of these preseason games where you'll see the stars for like 20 minutes and then they're going to sub them out. I just don't see – I think they'll bring them on for 20, 25 minutes, hopefully with the idea that Messi, scores 2, and then they take him out and just play all-out defense for the rest of the game trying to get whatever points they can. And it's completely possible they may have, followed what, come to the same calculus that Niko has, which is it's almost mathematically impossible to make the playoffs. So let's focus on Open Cup and, we'll show up, we'll play a little bit, and then we just get out of Dodge healthy as we can.
Niko, let me go to the other side of this equation. I don't think we've seen or we've said or given enough credit to Ben Olsen with the job that he's done this year in Houston to get to this championship game in a month's time. I mean, yes, you've got new ownership. He comes in, year number 1. You get Ache, you get Bassi doing, breaking Kubo Torres' records. How would you characterize what Houston has been able to do? Has it been just because everybody else is focused on shiny objects? We've kind of let Houston just kind of do their thing, and then we're surprised at this and go, oh, damn, there's Ben Olsen in Houston. When you look at the Dynamo this year, what do you think?
I'll get more into details on the Houston Dynamo when we do green light, red light. But I will talk about Olsen. I think you're absolutely right. I think that because of his profile, because of what he's done in the past, who he is as a football manager, we've kind of put that aside and said, hey, you know what? It's maybe just the players. We've tend to look at the shinier object, way shinier object. And I'm not just talking about in Miami, but also the new toy in St. Louis and the Hollywood Stars in LAFC. And we're not really seeing what Houston is really doing down there. And I think what he's done is made this team a lot more simple. They're vertical. They can stay in many games. I think he's done a really good job with Hector Herrera, which has blown my mind. The way that he's connected with these players is not something that I thought Olsen just had as a forte, and he's done it. Hector Herrera is playing the best soccer since he left Atletico Madrid, and he came here thinking he was gonna kick back and have some caramel apples and go to Disneyland, and then in the time off maybe play some soccer, and that was gonna be cool, and that wasn't the case. Okay, now you get a new coach. Things change. He gets him a lot more help. I think Arthur's done a great job of helping the defensive holding mid and having that dog that's doing a lot for you. So the way he's built this team around and the way he's used certain players, I think it all goes to Olsen. Quinones is a guy that just came on loan, gave him his chance. He wasn't perfect initially, would miss a lot of chances, a lot of decision-making problems in the final third, and he's grown game by game by game to the point that now he's going to be here with Houston. But now he's a solid piece consistently, making right decisions, scoring goals, cutting inside, hitting you from mid-range. So I think all of those things are because of what Olsen has done.
Nick, go for it.
Yeah, Olsen shocked me. I thought he was like the management version of Kaki. There was nothing ever, there's nothing ever, flashy with him. There was nothing ever exciting. It was kind of like mayo on a sandwich. Like, okay, I guess. I don't know. But what he's managed to do with Houston is shocking to me. And it just shows that him walking away for a little while, maybe figuring out who he was as a man and a manager, has worked wonders for him in his career. So now it's just to see how he can, step up and finish out the string. But can we imagine the shock, how like our brains will just explode all over the place if Ben Olsen, pleated khakis himself, is the man who dethrones the juggernaut of Inter Miami. Can we imagine how insane that's going to be?
It'd be ironic. It'd be ironic. And I can't wait to see Olsen right next to Tata, because Tata might seem like a very poised person and he looks like a guy that, wouldn't hurt a fly, but he's a fiery guy. Once things get a little bit heated, he gonna be in your face. And Olsen needs no help firing up, right? Mr. Yellow Card and suspensions. That's gonna be fun to watch just on the benches, right? I mean, it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But yeah, I think you're right. It would be very ironic to see Olsen be the guy that, essentially ends the Cinderella story for this Miami inner Miami CF. Honestly, another thing that I've been surprised and impressed, actually is the correct word for Olsen, is the decision making on players. Barrett's not your international, typically teams want a DP9 and all this stuff. He's just a battler. He's had a great season, but he's stuck with his guy. He's had Ivan Franco in the bench, which you would think, hey, that's your international guy. Give him more time. Nope. He's had his guys. He knows what they're doing for him. Everybody's bought in, so he's got depth on the bench. Was Sebastian Ferreira, the guy that was there before, completely said, hey, that's not my guy. I don't want him. I was thinking, man, that's a talented player, has not hurt him. So he's made the right decisions to build what he wants from guys that are going to execute what he wants on the field.
Before we get into a red light, yellow light, green light with you and Nick, I have to ask, considering that Atlanta United was in Seattle this past weekend, and you got to catch up with Mike and Jason first and foremost at Lumen. You got to see them. You got to catch up with Mike and Jason. Very, very cool there. Now that you've had a couple days to kind of step back from the loss by Seattle to Atlanta United, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, that was fun. Seeing Jason, I got to talk to him for a bit. Him and his radio partner was awesome. I wish I would have looked at the photo that we took prior, because I just couldn't post it because my eyes were closed. It was all bad and stuff. We were trying to do this selfie situation, but it wasn't working. And yet we didn't get a really good picture, but we did take a picture. We made the attempt. It was fun to see them. The loss for Seattle was credit to Atlanta. I think Gonzalo Pineda planned out the game perfectly, the way he attacked the flanks, the way he went right at Nuhu. Mosquera had a fantastic game. Silva, he's good now. I can't wait to see him in 4 or 5 games. But Giakoumakis, that's the guy that my eye went to. And I just did a show on Monday where I was like, man, I've been talking about Atlanta for 4 or 5 minutes, and I've yet to talk about Almada. And that's obviously a guy that you need to talk to every time. But I mean, no disrespect to Almada, but my eyes went to the effort, the defense, the presence, the confidence. He was bullying the center backs for the Sounders, man. I mean, it was like, I'm a man. Yes, Jackson Reagan, you're 6'4" or whatever, but I'm 7'5". If you take in my experience and my Greekness, I mean, I don't know what it was, but he was just bullying. He took Nuhu's lunch, respect, pocket change, whatever you want, all game long, man. I mean, it was crazy to see. So, in all general senses, I got to give credit to Atlanta. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I think is wrong with the Sounders here in green light, red light. But the Sounders in that particular game got outplayed. Gonzo was very humble and told me that Seattle put him in trouble and dominated from 10 minutes. I didn't see that, Gonzo, but he's just such a great guy. He talked about Brian Smetzer being his mentor. He thinks he's the best in MLS, that, Brian's going to figure it out. And I think everybody in Seattle certainly hopes so. But Atlanta was just better all around.
All right. It is that time where we sit there and we take the tour of Major League Soccer, and we do it through the prism of a street light. Red light, yellow light, green light. For those that have never been a part of this segment, who've ever seen it or watched it, what we do, red light is someone who's in serious trouble. The hood is up, the engine's dropped, oil's all over the road, transmission needs to be fixed. Yellow light could be a team that is going from red light to green light, meaning there's room for improvement. There's still some caution out there in the intersection, but you could be going from red light to green, or you could be going the other way. You hear that noise. You hit your brakes in the brake pads, and you hear that squeak. And you don't know if that's something that needs to be looked at. That's yellow light. Green light, basically, you're confident that yellow has popped up on the street light, and you're sitting there going, man, I'm just going to punch it and go right through the intersection. You do that, and everything's cool. We're going to do it with both Nick and Niko this week. And since Niko is the furthest away, Niko gets to determine how we do the stoplight. Where do you want to start first?
Let's start at red light because it's a team that we haven't even touched on. So let's start with the red light. I know that I could sit here, John, and talk to you about Toronto have not won a game since May. They were coming in a 7-game streak without even scoring a goal. They scored some goals at the feet of Bernadeschi and still managed to lose the game, but I'm not going to because they've been the governor and president or whatever you want to call it of the red light group, so we're going to leave them alone. So we're going to stick with the Portland Timbers.
Okay.
They let go of Giovanni Savarese. It seems to be a total break of what the team had at one point with him. I get it. There were some locker room issues, some big locker room issues, to the point that players were trying to get transferred. There were, I'm told, many constant problems in the locker room between him and several players. And then results end up breaking that foundation of absolutely everything else. Obviously, players came out and said there was nothing wrong with the locker room and all of this. But whenever a coach gets bounced off 24 hours after, even if it is a 5-0 game where they look completely out of sorts and destroyed by Houston, I just don't know if everything that they brought in, because they brought in so much talent and they got all their guys. I mean, if I have a shopping list, they got at least half of the shopping list of what they needed, right? And still, this team looks like they can hold on to a game. I mean, Araujo is supposed to be this guy that's an international player that's supposed to come in and help your defense, and it's looked terrible. Juan David Mosquera, he's a guy that was an all-star. He's a guy that's a Colombia national team prospect, and he couldn't catch up to Brad Smith on a ball from one goal, Clark, all the way to your fullback. So I just don't know how much of this Timbers team can be salvaged by the interim head coach, because I think that they're going to have to switch tactics. They're going to have to adjust. They're going to have to figure out what they're going to do within that locker room. Even if you got a leader like Diego Chara, I just don't know if you have enough. They have a minus 12 goal differential. They're sitting at 12 in the West. I just see nothing but red all across for this team.
Nick, who's your red light this week?
I'm going to co-sign. To me, with Portland, you have an ownership group that's not exactly very popular, league-wide at the moment. That certainly plays into things. So, you're not going to get, any sort of goodwill or, there's no one here who's going to help Portland. If Portland's going to drown, the rest of the league's going to let them. They were with. That's one of the drawbacks whenever you have a manager for so long and you get to be known for that style of play, that the tactics that you see, the type of player that's brought in, it is all falling apart for Portland. They are going to have to go all the way down to bedrock to rebuild this thing unless the interim manager can be some sort of miracle worker. And I don't know if there's a number of priests lining up with holy water to, the power of Christ compels you on this thing, but I don't see any way up for Portland at this point. And it's really sad to see because they, for so long, Portland was a bit of a darling. They had the small stadium, intimate stadium in the middle of Portland. They had a great fan base. They had a phenomenal talent. And to watch where it goes from then to now, I think should show everyone around the league that, there are far worse things than having a bit of a rough patch, that there are far worse places you can be. And Portland, I think, exemplifies that at the moment.
All right, Niko, yellow light this week in whichever direction you're going, either red improving toward green or green drifting back toward the red.
I want to go green toward yellow. And that is going to be my yellow team, as much as it doesn't hurt to say it, but you got to be able to look at this Sounders team and realize that they've always been so resilient, but maybe that resiliency gas tank is at E at the moment. So I'm going to say that I'm moving Seattle from green to yellow. It's funny, we're talking about two giants of Cascadia, two giants of the Western Conference, both having issues. This Sounders team in that Atlanta game, it wasn't just the tactics, it wasn't just the personnel, it was the body language, it was the lack of effort, it was the miscommunications, it was a team that seemed to have a will that was broken throughout that game. Yes, they still managed to get a couple of opportunities that could have tied that game, just because they do have those players that can do that. But that inability to finish, that inability to create, that inability to defend, it all comes down to a serious problem in their gaps in the foundation of that squad. And Brian Smetzer needs to cement those and make sure that it doesn't crack. He told us yesterday that there is no issues, that the unity of the team is there. They all were very unified during the practice yesterday because of Stephen Cleveland, whose dad passed away, and they were all together. They gave him a round of applause. They were very supportive of their teammate, and I hope they use that. I hope they use that to begin to trend from yellow to green, because if this team continues to play so bleak with lack of effort, Nuhu was really, really bad there. Joe Pablo, miscommunications with Leo. I mean, all general senses. Niko, I thought was the one player that was giving you a lot and gets taken off the field as well. So I just think that right now, this Sounders team's issues are beyond the tactics. And that's why I put him in the yellow surface. And unless that gets taken care of, they're going to move into the red. So I do believe that Brian Smetzer has realized what he needs to do. There's going to be some rotations for this upcoming game because they have the Clásico against Portland. So it'll be interesting how that plays out and how certain players take it. But there's issues in Seattle. There's issues.
Nick, who's your yellow this week?
It's going to be Inter Miami. That's my yellow light at the moment, and that's just based on schedule alone. When you look at what they got to do, going to Red Bulls on the 26th, Nashville the 30th, LAFC crossing the country on September 3rd, and then they got to go. And then it's Sporting Kansas City. Then you have International, and then Atlanta. It is a tough haul, and you have older players. Injuries pop up out of nowhere and they linger. When you have somebody with a bionic knee like Joseph Martinez has, how much wear and tear. So far, Tata's been really great at getting him out around the 55th, 60th minute of games. Can they keep up this sort of juggernaut mentality that they have right now? And if with their first loss, how do they respond to that? That's going to be very interesting to see. That's why I have them on yellow for the moment.
All right. So then who's your green light, Niko? Who is surpassing all expectations and is on the climb for you this week?
Well, you know what? Again, I'm going to just mention a couple of things because we've talked about this squad, but, I could talk about Columbus and Diego Rossi and Cucho just looking like they've played forever together. Cucho's ability to just adapt to playing like a 10 or like a false 9, and how good that Columbus team looked, completely destroying Cincinnati in general senses. But I'm going to stick with Houston because they are a team that was in yellow, that was in the red at one point, that has trended upward, and that, in quite honestly, we're seeing some players that are very likely going to be their last year in MLS. And I'm talking about Coco Carrasquilla, the Panamanian who's been so good this entire time with Houston, all the way from a beautiful backheel pass in that 5-0 game against Portland till yesterday, carrying the ball, conducting, defending, pushing, mid-range shots, getting a goal. I mean, this guy just puts the team on his shoulders. Hector Herrera is the creator. Hector Herrera is the leader. Hector Herrera is the guy that gives you confidence because of his quality. But Coco Carrasquilla is the motor, the engine, the force, the strength. And he's just been great to watch. And once again, you talk about a guy like Barrett, and he is doing all the things that he needs to do up top. Not worry about just scoring goals, but I'm going to make the right runs. I'm going to occupy the right spaces. I'm going to defend. I'm going to do exactly what my coach wants. Quinones on the left side looked great all game long. This was a tough one for him. It was a tough one because they were not clinical in front of goal, and RSL got a goal back in the second half where it was closer for them to score the second, but they missed so many chances that they let RSL come back. And even then, in extra times, they're able to compose themselves, gather themselves, and win this game. So I got to give it to Houston, to Olsen, and to the rest of this very deep, very interesting Houston squad.
Nick, who's your green light?
My green light is going to be Atlanta United. With Tristan Miyomba, he has been an absolute engine room. His well-timed tackles, distribution of the ball, attacking from different angles, his ability to break the lines. It's a completely different team with this man in the lineup and clicking on all cylinders. You had healthy Gigi. You saw what happened with that. You have Almada cooking. You have Saba, who has not even seen the field yet. You have Jean De Silva, who showed some really good things happening. If this team can gel, this is going to be a very, very dangerous squad going forward. If they can stay healthy, if they can, they can work in the new guys, this is going to be something that could be really, really fun to watch. I'm putting them at a green, and I'm also going to add in another green, and that is the staff who gets to play. The fans who get to watch on the Atlanta United's YouTube channel when the media game takes place, and we're going to watch all of these people cook us live. So fans, buckle up, get your insults ready, get your jokes ready. You guys have full green light because we dish it out every day. You get to dish it out back at us and tell us how terrible we are. And I'm giving you the complete green light to do it. Biggest house, biggest hill, biggest side of town is going to be the fans. You got the full green light, baby.
Oh, you're muted, John.
2:45 tomorrow on the Atlanta United YouTube channel. And it is the media versus Atlanta United. Nick and Jarrett are a part of this group. Mike and Jason, I think, are calling the match on the Atlanta United YouTube channel. So you get to see Nick and Jarrett and a lot of the media go up against Atlanta United, and that's going to be a hoot tomorrow. It is now time for the tease, sir, since we have gone through the intersection. What's going on with you and Pulso Sports and the soccer bar?
Well, that is hilarious. The Seattle media will be playing, not the Sounders, each other, which I'm glad. And I'm also glad that it's not being streamed, but that's going to be September 1st, Friday. So look for those pictures and funny clips then. But definitely happy it's not streamed, man. That's the last thing I want is anybody seeing Niko and being able to say, man, that's the guy that talks all this mess. Because I've had Brian mention that already once a couple of years back. Now, what's happening in Pulso, got a lot of stuff going on right now. Obviously, all of the interviews that we've had recently, Jackson Reagan yesterday talking about the loss, what it's going to take to get this team to the right direction. We're going to be having a couple of very special interviews here coming up with other stars across the nation. It's just kind of taking a little bit longer to get those ready to go. In Pulso's in Soccer Bar. Make sure that you guys check it out. We just had a fantastic show on Monday talking about all things Open Cup, all things MLS. We'll come back on Thursday, so check that out. Appreciate you guys having me on for sure, and hopefully I'll be back next week.
Yeah, I mean, you're locked in at 10:30, 7:30. Just depends on whether or not you have to take someone out for a walk or if they're demanding your presence for an early breakfast after you've completed your second cup of coffee. Full show today. Fantastic stuff. We got to cover all the news. We got to cover all the folks. Covered some dude named Messi and Open Cup. A lot of news going on. We'll keep an eye on all of that stuff, all the transfer stuff. A couple of housekeeping notes. Nick mentioned the soccer match tomorrow afternoon. Keep an eye out. Set your notifications for the Atlanta United YouTube channel. Remember, 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. It is your pre-tailgate kickoff. SDH at Reverb by Hard Rock. Be there from 1 to 2. Atlanta Auburn Club, Auburn, and the Atlanta UGA Club. They're supposed to be combative. I've heard that Auburn and Georgia don't like each other when it comes to college football. So they were going to be in attendance. We'll see how many of them can make it at 1 o'clock. We're trying to see if we can come up with some kind of a challenge. How many of the Atlanta UGA Club, how many of the Atlanta Auburn Club can be at Reverb and heckle each other and heckle us at 1 o'clock from 1 to 2. Then you have all your tailgating. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The weather's going to be unbearably hot, but you can be in the air conditioning at Reverb by Hard Rock. You can hang out with us from 1 to 2. Niko, my friend, it's always fantastic to catch up with you, and we will catch up with you again next week.
Thank you for having me, guys.
All right, that is Niko Moreno. And so, Nick, it is time to send us home for yet another show. We've made it. Can you believe it?
Can't believe it. I am going to just let us get out of here by saying the following to the Atlanta United staff. Please make sure you have a large number of medical vehicles on standby because all of us media people run on coffee and processed meats, and we're going to be running around in like 98, 99 degree temperatures. And then not just that, but please tune in and watch us make clowns of ourselves. And feel free, if you see a bald Smurf running around looking like he's just juiced up on like 15 shots of espresso, that's going to be me. So I'm doing nothing but Gatorade, Pedialyte, and espresso today as a prep, and I'm carb loading later.
Man, and to think that I'm going to be missing this. I will be watching on the stream, and it's going to be a hoot tomorrow afternoon. Let's see. I think that's the housekeeping, is to make sure that we get the tailgate at 1, media game tomorrow at 2:45 on the Atlanta United YouTube channel. I think that's it. Nick, send us home.
Until next time, everybody, please make an attempt to be kind to each other. The world's a really tough place. We don't need to help the harsh world by being harsh to each other. Be kind, drink your coffee, say your prayers, eat your vitamins and all that. Until next time, everybody, mucho, mucho euro, y'all.
What he said, end of the show. That means we get to do this. 9:05 tomorrow morning from Macon, because I'll be in a hotel room. See you then.